Good morning. I'm Dr. Paul Hatherley, and I'm the director for the Center for Mental and Emotional Development here in La Mesa, California. And this is the third in my series of talks on how to create a conscious vision for everyday life. And today's topic is understanding intimate romantic relationships. Romantic relationships form the center of our intimate relationships. From this center come parent-child relationships, extended family, and friendships. And an intimate relationship is built, an intimate romantic relationship is built upon our own internal development. And if we don't have internal development, then we actually have nothing to build on. The reason genuine emotional bonds and long-term vitality and intimacy and closeness is so rare in our romantic relationships is because so few of us have the prerequisites of internal development necessary to build a long-term romantic relationship that is genuinely satisfying and meaningful. With the normal lack of internal development and the normal purposes, the best we can hope for is a long-term romantic relationship that we accept and are resigned to, and that can be enjoyable, comfortable, and provide sex and security and a certain degree of social status and a sense that we have a place in the world. But without internal development and creating conscious purposes for our own lives and mastering our internal needs and potentials and completing our developmental tasks, without this internal development, our long-term romantic relationships cannot be satisfying and meaningful, at least not internally, simply because we don't have the prerequisites. So what are the prerequisites for satisfaction and meaning? Well, one, we need to be able to feed our own hungers for emotional warmth and for conscious purposes and for self-awareness that leads to understanding our own perspectives and developing wisdom about life and other people. If we have that foundation, then we have something to offer in a romantic relationship, and something to share, and something that we can grow into. So internal development means that we must learn how to think for understanding, because thinking for understanding is necessary for us to offer the most critical element in long-term romantic relationships, which is personal conversation. Most conversation, whether in a romantic relationship, a friendship, business associates, or just strangers, is impersonal and has to do with trivial external events, observations, feelings, beliefs, ideas. And while that kind of conversation has its place in helping us pass the time and be able to give and get some attention, it does not create any long-term satisfaction or lasting meaning. In human life, because we have the potential to understand the future, the past, the present, ourselves, other people, nature, If we don't fulfill this potential on both internal and external dimensions, then our lives will not be meaningful. So, check it out for yourself. Does it seem to you that the relationships you observe around you, the romantic relationships, how many do you see where the couple has individual lives that are satisfying and meaningful, where they're growing in their ability to understand, to express love, to pursue truth, to experience and create beauty, and to develop wisdom? How often do you see people even able to talk about those words and define them, much less integrate the activities into their everyday lives? Then, how often do you see people who can integrate love, truth, beauty, and wisdom into their relationship lives and grow every day in their ability to understand, experience, and express love? Grow in their ability to see reality accurately and lead and have what they see lead to developing wisdom. And how often do you see people consciously and purposely pursuing the experience of beauty and the opportunity to create beauty in their everyday lives? These are internal activities and pursuits that require training to be able to understand and pursue. Even wanting to understand requires some emotional development where we learn to care wholeheartedly about our own lives and then become competent enough to take care of ourselves internally and externally, that we can care wholeheartedly about someone else's experience separate from our own. Care innocently and without any thought as to what we're going to get back or how we feel in terms of whether or not we're getting enough approval or excitement. In most romantic relationships, people eventually become discontent with themselves and each other, and they often blame the relationship. There's not enough excitement, not enough understanding, not enough emotional warmth or affection, not enough activity that they share or has purpose to it. People get burnt out with just enjoying themselves and following their impulses. And it's rare that people want to enjoy themselves in exactly the same way. So if enjoyment is our purpose, sooner or later, we don't enjoy being with our mate. And we usually don't feel understood by our mate, and we often don't share even our understanding of what reality is, what's important, what isn't. Without internal development, we have no way of using our differences to learn about each other, and not to create compromises, but to create greater degrees of understanding and a harmony in our conscious purposes. And in understanding what activities are for pleasure or enjoyment and what activities provide real satisfaction and meaning over time. So we don't eliminate all of our enjoyable activities, but we add activities that are genuinely satisfying and provide permanent meaning. Because we realize that in a limited human life, things that are enjoyable but not meaningful ultimately don't provide any long-term satisfaction or intimacy. If you'd like to learn more about what's required for the prerequisites for being in a romantic relationship that is intimate over time, as well as for the prerequisites of how to create a satisfying and meaningful internal life all your own, then join me again tomorrow, where I'll talk about the training and the education that's offered by the Center for Mental and Emotional Development. CMED training is unique in that it provides objectively defined internal experiences. So love, truth, beauty, and wisdom are defined objectively in terms of universal experiences, hungers, and potentials. And then every step in our own development and in the development of a relationship is also clearly defined, like the personal conversation that's needed to create intimacy in romantic relationships or emotional bonds between parents and children and friends. That is broken down into the skills and awareness required to offer and receive and share personal conversation. Every internal aspect of life is clearly defined in objective terms that you can check out for yourself. And then add to, modify, discard, or replace whatever you are learning with your own unique adaptation to reality. Okay, I appreciate having you here today and look forward to seeing you again tomorrow, where we talk about the training necessary for individual happiness as well as a long-term, genuine emotional bond and a romantic relationship. See you tomorrow.